hiding? He just walked down the middle of the street, huh? 2 guys down there on the right and 2 guys down there on the left. There's 4 guys down there altogether.
Just a friendly conversation between old pals Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds in City Heat, one of the new Christmas movies we're going to be reviewing this week.
We did all right, huh? What a team.
I'm Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune. In addition to City Heat, we'll also be reviewing 2010, the long-awaited sequel to Stanley Kubrick's science fiction masterpiece, 2001: A Space Odyssey, of course. And we'll also look at a low-budget cult film called Stranger Than Paradise. And I'm going to tell you that one of those films is going to be our stinker of the week. We'll have it later on in the show. But first, Roger begins with Eddie Murphy's latest comedy.
Eddie Murphy is such a good comic actor. He can almost sell any dialogue in almost any scene just with his own charisma and his sense of timing. But unfortunately, that's what they want him to do in Beverly Hills Cop, a stunningly routine action picture that is redeemed only occasionally by Eddie Murphy. In the movie, he plays a renegade Detroit police detective whose best friend is killed by gangsters from California. He goes out west to track him down, and the movie's basic gag is the contrast between the streetwise black from Detroit and the suntan chic of Beverly Hills. Here's the scene where he checks into his hotel.
Yes, you have a reservation for an Axel Foley?
Well, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't see anything on that name.
Check Rolling Stone Magazine's Axel Foley. That's what it is.
Okay. No Rolling Stone, no Axel Foley. I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, it's all right. You guys probably just made some kind of mistake with reservations. Why don't you just give me another room now, go up and go to sleep?
I'm sorry, sir, but there are no rooms available.
Don't you think I realize what's going on here, miss? Who do you think I am, huh? Don't you think I know that if I was some hot shot from out of town that pulled inside here, and you guys made a reservation mistake, I'd be the first one to get a room, and I'd be upstairs relaxing right now. But I'm not some hot shot from out of town. I'm a small reporter from Rolling Stone magazine that's in town to do an exclusive interview with Michael Jackson that's going to be picked up by every major magazine in the country. I was going to call the article, Michael Jackson is sitting on top of the world, but now I think I might as well just call it, Michael Jackson can sit on top of the world just as long as he doesn't sit in the Beverly Palm Hotel, because there's no allowed in there.
Excuse me, sir. It seems that we do have a last-minute cancellation. There is a room available. It's a suite, but I'll only charge you the single room rate.
Thank you. I'm sorry I got upset. It's probably from jet lag or something. I'm very tired.
I understand,
What's
sir.
the rate, anyway?
That'll be $235 a night, sir.
Overplayed, embarrassing, and unbelievable. The Beverly Hills cops in this movie are all straight arrows, and Murphy has a lot of fun outsmarting them.
I need a couple of bananas. How much are they?
Well, the buffet plate is $12.50. You get peaches, plums, oranges, and bananas.
Oh, all I need is a couple of bananas.
Shh. Go ahead, take those bananas.
Thanks.
Forget it. I'm not eating that. Take it back.
Certainly, sir.
This really looks great.
Fitting or looks loose?
Could I get some extra mayo?
Certainly, sir.
Thank you.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
There's the Mercedes. We get rid of that stuff?
Thank you.
What the hell are you doing?
Beverly Hills Cop has a great basic idea for a movie. I mean, when you think about the idea of Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills, you can think of dozens of potentially funny situations.
I know we can.
We could, but the guys who wrote this script couldn't. This movie does not have a great script. Instead of a finely tuned social satire in which the movie would really look at the nuances of how a black Detroit cop might be treated in Beverly Hills, the movie goes for broad, obvious strokes, like dressing Murphy in a T-shirt and putting him in that embarrassing scene in the hotel lobby with all of that, I'm from Rolling Stone, you're discriminating. That is so overplayed, it's not funny as it would have been if he had been able to kind of subtly zap them a little bit with their attitudes. Plays like a TV sitcom, and what it really needs is a laugh track so we feel right at home. And then the movie turns into an assembly line crime thriller all about cocaine smugglers. And then it ends with another shootout. I mean, they just put routine elements into this good idea. What a waste of an idea. what a waste of Murphy. This whole movie smells like a deal that looks so good, they didn't think they needed an intelligent screenplay.
Yeah, just get Eddie Murphy in a good title called Beverly Hills Cop, and it is a good title. I was very disappointed for it. I'm going to have to fault the director, too. This is a young director, Martin Brest, who did a film I liked very much his first time out called Going in Style with George Burns. That was, I thought, wonderful. Lee Strasberg, too. Art Carney, I think, all three. Yeah. Sensitive. Now he comes to an action picture, and I don't think he can direct an action picture based on this. This film sputters like that car in the last shot constantly. They're ready to go into the fortress of the bad guy, and we get byplay that's out of Laurel and Hardy with people falling all over each other, the two straight cops. That's not the way to do it. Let's get into the action. Now, this is a big moment in the movie. Let's get into that fortress.
Well, I've got another idea. Either get into that fortress and do it as an action picture, which nobody going into this movie expects, or don't do it as an action picture. Do we need? Last year we got Scarface. Machine guns, we're going to attack the fortress. This year, new fortress, new machine guns.
There's some heavy-duty killing in this film.
A lot of people are. You're right. There's a lot of violence, and why? I'll tell you why. Because out in Hollywood, they know that if they don't have a half hour, the last half hour of a movie, all you have to do is get out the machine guns, have everybody die, a couple of car crashes, an exploding gas tank, and that's the movie. Well, what about the idea? What about the character? What about the situation forgotten about?
I read an interview where Eddie Murphy said that this was going to be his apology for Best Defense, which was an awful film, and he knew it was an awful film. Well, he still owes us a good
one, right?
Yeah, I think so, still. Coming up next at the movies, that mysterious black monolith and the HAL 9000 computer are back in 2010.
What's going to happen? Something wonderful.
Is the science fiction sequel 2010, and it is no easy task picking up 9 years later the story of Stanley Kubrick's magnificent science fiction epic 2001: A Space Odyssey, with its prehistoric apes discovering weaponry and with its mysterious black monolith appearing out of nowhere every time mankind was about to make some great leap forward in knowledge. 2001 left off with trouble aboard a U.S. space mission to the moons of Jupiter, and 2010 picks up with a joint U.S. and Russian mission to the same place as a nervous astronaut and a nervous cosmonaut attempt to board the old Discovery spacecraft from the original film, which is still out there in orbit.
Hey, do you speak any Russian? No. That's okay. I speak English real.
I'm fogging up.
Hey, Colonel. Have you heard the one about the marathon runner and the chicken?
Don't patronize me. I'm getting nauseous.
If you barbecue, you'll choke. Don't close your eyes. Look at the middle of Discovery. The middle, not the ends. Look at the part where it's moving the least. Don't take your eyes off it.
I'm going to throw up. I'm an engineer. Maybe you better patronize me a little. What about the marathon runner?
I made it up.
Oh, I'm looking amidship now.
You see any lights?
No, no light.
70 meters.
You're almost there. How's that for patronizing?
Not bad.
Now that sums up the movie for me, that scene. Good looking to be sure, but not really tension-filled, because you know they got to get to that ship or we're not going to have any kind of a movie. Now later in the film, the American commander, played by Roy Scheider, attempts to investigate at much closer range what's going on the moons of Jupiter. But the human-like computer on board the Discovery, the HAL 9000 computer, for its own reasons, wants to talk everyone out of sending an investigative probe down to the moons of Jupiter.
Dr. Chandra, I'm ready to stop the countdown if you want.
No, Hal, don't stop.
I am fully confident in your ability to study the phenomenon by yourself. I have complete faith in you.
Propellant tank pressurization completed. Voltage steady. Are you sure you are making the right decision? I think we should stop. 4 minutes to ignition. I enjoy working with human beings and have stimulating relationships with you.
We enjoy working with you, Hal, and we will continue to do so even if we are separated by great distance.
Good God. Color. It's fading.
Seems to be losing its chemical strength.
I think we should stop the countdown, Dr. Chandra.
No. Don't do that.
This behavior is inconsistent with logic, Dr. Chandra. This phenomenon is too important to leave unless it represented danger. Do you think there is danger here?
I love that character, HAL 9000. I just wish we'd seen him sooner in the picture. Now, the original 2001 dealt with great issues in a poetic way, with symbols that required us to fill in some blanks. And there are a lot of people to this day who still haven't been able to fill in the blanks. This new film is much more explicit about its meaning, which turns out to be a warning that the superpowers on Earth had better cooperate or we're going to lose everything. You see, while these scientists are out there in space back on Earth, there's a world war brewing between the United States and Russia in South America. Now, you can't, of course, argue with the peace message of 2010, but you can argue with the way it's presented, which is very slowly and repeatedly. I have no idea how young moviegoers who have never seen the original 2001 will react to this movie, but this fan of that film wishes that there had been more of the monolith and of the HAL 9000 computer sooner in this film, and then I would like maybe to have seen it take off into a solitary journey by Roy Scheider into space. As it now plays, 2010 is just a good-looking half-hour episode of Star Trek or The Twilight Zone stretched out to 2 hours.
I think you're being way, way, way too hard on this movie in the continuum of current science fiction films. Now, I'm going to start by saying there will never be another movie like 2001. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Let's put it on the shelf. I would like to look at this movie more in terms of the tradition of Star Wars, Star Trek, and the movies like that have come out more recently, and it's a superior example of that genre. It's got really fabulous outer space special effects. It's got a really thrilling adventure as they're going toward the Discovery. I love that scene that you didn't like, where the guy gets the attack of panic and disorientation as he's
I thought they were also
space.
making jokes in that scene that I didn't think if they were really having panic. I think they were trying to play it both ways.
Oh, I
also,
think
in the movie,
it really
we saw a shortened version of that scene. I think it plays for about 5 minutes, and I was saying,
really,
come on, let's get to the ship. We gotta go.
I wasn't saying so. What do you mean? You said, we know they have to get to the ship, so there's no suspense. How do you know that? And what do you know? How do you know what's going to be on board the Discovery?
You know what's going to be on board the Discovery? HAL 9000.
What a clever guy.
And so that means I know they have to get there because we're going to find the most interesting character.
In that case, you know everything about every movie because you know what has to happen, so you can't be interested in the process.
No.
The sight of Jupiter beneath them, of the moons, of outer space, of the hardware is extremely fascinating.
I said it. Good looking, real good looking, slow, a little bit predictable.
I disagree
and the finish
with you.
of the film.
The one thing I will agree with you is on the finish. It's really disappointing. All the expectations that we have from the first movie, and in this movie they keep saying something wonderful is going to happen.
That's right.
And what happens basically is that the aliens come on cable TV with this morning's big message for peace on Earth, so that the last 10 minutes of the movie are totally disappointing. But as an entertainment, as a Christmas science fiction picture, as something to go see, it's a lot of fun, and I like it.
Yeah, but you're saying you're really laying it in a lower grade level. I'm saying, hey, they shot for the moon, so to speak, and then they didn't quite make it, and it took a long time to get up.
It's a heck of a lot better than a half an hour of Twilight Zone. You've got to admit that.
Oh, I love Twilight Zone.
Next at the movies, a little shorter odyssey. We're going to go from New York to Ohio to Florida.
So what does the quarterback do when he becomes the defense?
What?
What does the quarterback do when his team becomes the defense?
Stranger Than Paradise, and it's one of the most delightful films of the year, a real discovery. The movie's about a Hungarian who moved to New York about 12 years ago, and immediately this guy is turned into a clone of the Bowery Boys. He looks a little bit like Huntz Hall in some scenes. He talks tough, he hangs out at the racetrack, and he lives in an apartment that looks like an unmade bed, which means it looks just like he looks. And then he has an unexpected visitor from the old country, his girl cousin from Hungary, a teenager. And here's a scene from one of her first nights in America.
You sure you don't want a TV dinner?
Yes, I'm not hungry. Why is it called TV dinner?
You're supposed to eat it while you watch TV. Television.
I know what a TV is. Where does that meat come from?
What do you mean?
What does that meat come from?
I guess it comes from a cow.
From a cow? It doesn't even look like meat.
Hey, let's stop bugging me. You know, this is where we eat in America. I got my meat, I got my potatoes, I got my vegetables, I got my dessert, and I don't even have to wash the dishes.
The promised land.
Right.
What happens next is that the cousin goes out to Ohio to visit her aunt, and then the hero's best friend says he misses this girl. He kind of has a crush on her. So the two guys head out to Ohio. They visit the aunt and the girl. Then they take the cousin to Florida, where there's a surprise ending that works like clockwork, and it's funny and perfect both at once. Stranger Than Paradise is a movie like Marty or Rocky, a human comedy in which ordinary people who are lovingly exaggerated do ordinary things in ways that somehow seem very funny. I love this movie. I'm going to put it on my list of the year's Tim Best films.
I'll consider it in that league. I liked it, and what surprised me, you just said on 2010 that I know where every movie's going, and I can always predict. Well, you don't
know where this movie's going.
This movie, you can't tell. In fact, I wasn't so sure it was a comedy, especially at the beginning. I think this is a fairly sophisticated comedy that approximates life, which is funny and tragic. There's some beautiful stuff down when they go into Florida in terms of just visuals, black and white photography, shots of just some landscape of a burnout motel that I'll always remember. And I'll always remember these characters, and I'd watch any one of its scenes. They're cut. The scenes jump along.
One scene at a time, right.
I would watch any of them extrapolated to its full length, as it would have played out if they'd really been there. That's how interesting the film is.
It's a terrific movie, and it's opening now at Christmas time with lots of big pictures. I think if people are going to get disappointed by some of the big pictures, which certainly looks like a trend, if I may say so, then this would be a real good little picture to go to. Coming up next at the movies, Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds, Macho Incorporated, in their first film together.
I thought you were going to sit this one out.
I lied.
Okay. Give me the case.
Wake him up from his long winter's hibernation for this one, a real big stinker of the week for Aroma.
Big movie, big skunk. Aroma, you should work out on a bicycle or something. You're putting on a lot of weight. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to our next film, City Heat, because it features Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds for the first time together in the same film. But boy, have I got bad news for their fans. City Heat may turn out to be the worst of the Christmas movies because it doesn't take a whole lot to be better than this junk, which is an incomprehensible, needlessly violent, and terribly unfunny detective story set in the 1930s featuring Eastwood as a cop, Reynolds as a detective. They formerly were friends, but now they're feuding, as you can see in this scene where Eastwood refuses to help his one-time buddy, now being chased by mobsters.
Evening, Lieutenant. Louis. Coffee? Yeah.
Hey. Somebody left the cage door open, huh?
Archie, how you doing?
It's good. A couple of cupcakes. I guess this what Bert did.
Lieutenant, aren't you going to do anything?
How about a refill? You can take care of yourself. I'm not disturbing you, am I? I got a situation here. You back? What are you talking at?
Don't spill coffee on his sleeve. That's kind of cute, maybe, when Eastwood gets that twitch and gets angry. He repeats that scene much later in the movie. He has to, because that's the only thing that works in the film. But in between those two scenes, we have two big stars stuck in a story that simply does not make itself clear. I think what's going on, and I'm not sure on this, I'll check with Roger in a second, I think what's going on is that Reynolds is trying to find some bookkeeper's records that some mobsters want, but Eastwood suspects that Reynolds may be in cahoots with the mobsters, so he's looking to bust him. I think that's what's going on, and I saw the whole film. I suppose what City Heat was trying to be is some kind of variation on Robert Redford and Paul Newman in The Sting, but that film, The Sting, had style. With City Heat, we might as well be watching modern-day cartoon representations of Burt Reynolds and Clint Eastwood walk through a film that doesn't know what it is. It's not funny, it's much too violent, and it doesn't make any sense. And frankly, I was shocked by how bad City Heat is.
I was shocked as well, Gene. I was sitting there looking at the screen in stunned disbelief. I know the screenplay was by Blake Edwards, who took his name off the screenplay. They brought in Richard Benjamin after they fired Edwards as the director. Benjamin has made a couple good movies, including My Favorite Year. Yeah. Then you have Eastwood's track record, which recently is real strong, and Reynolds, who is uneven, but has a lot of power on the screen in the right role. A complete, shocking mess. This movie is easily one of the most disappointing major pictures
now, maybe there
in
is
5 years.
Maybe when they have two big stars, because we've seen this with Dolly Parton and Reynolds and Dolly Parton and Stallone.
It's by committee. Everybody has to negotiate on every line to make sure that everything is agreeable to everyone, and at the end, nobody has achieved anything.
They never give them characters to play. The Sting had two characters. They were not exactly like Newman and Redford had ever played before. But no, here we got cartoon Burt Reynolds playing a very modern-day Burt Reynolds, like he's just on the Johnny Carson show, and Clint Eastwood doing his same, tough guy act, Don't spill it or I'm going to blow you away. And there's nothing in between.
It's a real wrong number. Now let's take another look at this week's movies. We both vote thumbs down on Beverly Hills Cop, which wastes both Eddie Murphy and a great idea on an idiotic crime story. A split decision for 2010. Neither one of us thinks it deserves comparison with the great classic 2001, but as an outer space adventure, I thought that it was slick and entertaining. 2 thumbs up for Stranger Than Paradise, the funny slice of life about some Hungarian misfits seeing America. And 2 big thumbs down for the shockingly bad stinker of the week, City Heat, with Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds in one of the worst movies either one of them has ever made, and that does include
Cannonball
some
Run.
bad movies.
The Cannonball Run pictures. You know, I almost would have rather seen Cannonball Run 2 than City Heat.
Now that means this is a bad movie.
Good, I've communicated my point. That's it for this week. Coming up next time, we'll review more of the big holiday movies, including Dune, a science fiction epic about the forces of good and evil struggling to control a distant world, as they always do, and Runaway, a futuristic thriller starring TV's Tom Selleck. And until then, we'll see you at the movies.
Pan American, whether it's business or pleasure or a little bit of both across the country and around the world, Pan Am, you can't beat the experience. Raisinets, plump, juicy raisins covered with delicious milk chocolate. Enjoy America's favorite movie time candy at home or at the movies. Goobers and Snowcaps, too. Uniden Corporation of America, manufacturer of Extendaphone, meeting today's communication needs with a full line of corded and cordless telephones. Uniden. Why do we make Future with tough acrylic? Because we know what your floor goes through in a day. Future for high traffic floors.